So when I sat down and was honest with myself, I decided that, yes, this is an important part of myself, and I love it, and I work really hard for it, but it didn't define me. That is not who I was. That was a part of my life, and maybe a chapter, and maybe it'll be a chapter that'll be continued, but I had something more important that I wanted to pursue, which was being a mom.
Hi, Wolfpack fans. Welcome back to Engineering Pack Pod, where we talk to all kinds of interesting stakeholders from NC State. And today, our guest is Dr. Maria Reyes, someone I met nearly 18 years ago when we were both in the NC State community, but at a different formative part of our journey. You were getting your PhD degree, and I was working on a PhD professional development program. And that's where our paths crossed. And we have stayed in touch for a couple of decades now. And it's been really interesting to watch you, Dr. Reyes, go from being in a research, scientific, focused career where you mentored more than 15 undergraduates, managed complex research projects, and contributed to funded grants and high-impact publications. But your career does not follow the traditional path of a lot of people who graduate with their doctoral degree from NC State, because you've made some interesting choices within the last decade that have focused on growing your life, not just your professional life, but your personal life, which I think is very courageous. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So glad you're here. Would you take our listener through why you decided to get a PhD degree, and it was biochemistry, I remember, and then some new epiphanies in life?
Yeah. So I always loved science, I think, since I was a little girl. And I knew I wanted to make an impact in the world. And so that would combine like my love for science and also the fact that like I was really good at it. So I decided to get a PhD because like I wanted to have more knowledge so that my impact would be greater. So that's the reason why I decided to get a PhD. And a lot of people that go to grad school know that the journey is not linear, and it can be sometimes quite long. For me, it took 7 years to finish my PhD. So by the end of it, I did my postdoc, also in the same field that I was in, biochemistry and genetics. And then I decided to step away a little bit to be a full-time mom.
And this is the part that I think is not the traditional trajectory that a lot of people might envision for themselves. And I want to bring people on telling their real life authentic story that sometimes you don't know where you're going to end up when you start a PhD program. So talk about that decision you made to leave science.
So I was, I think in my 4th or 5th year of my postdoc, I started doing a postdoc that included a lot of genetics, which was not my background. I'm a biochemist. So it was very demanding of my time, very complex things that I was doing. So I noticed myself, I had to be honest with myself, that I was not doing anything 100%. I wasn't doing my work 100%, and I wasn't being the mom that I could be 100% of the time. So I had to be real with myself and ask what is my priority here. And I chose, that time was after the birth of my son, so I chose to stay at home for a while.
And share a little bit about your family. I know you have 2 kids.
Yes, so I have a 12-year-old girl who just started middle school, and I have a 9-year-old boy in elementary school.
Oh my goodness, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I see you light up when you talk about these
Yes.
kids. And I want to know more about this struggle that was going on in your heart, because you were in a very rigorous program. You had spent 7 years, you said, becoming doctor and being this now PhD scientist, and there was something that was amiss.
Yeah, so the research that I was doing was extremely rewarding for me because I was working in viruses that affect tropical climates. Probably many of you don't know, but I'm from Guatemala. So anything that has to do with tropical weather countries, like I'm very passionate about, especially because there's a lot of lack of resources and funding for projects like that. So I appreciated that that was happening here at NC State. So I love the project, but I had to be real with myself. There was something missing. So like there was something in my gut telling me that this is not where I want to be right now. And I had to listen to it. But in order for me to be able to be real with myself, I had to have a heart to heart with my ego and be, this is okay. Because there was a lot of feedback from the outside, from friends and family, colleagues saying like, you've done this and this is your career. And so when I sat down and was honest with myself, I decided that yes, this is an important part of myself and I love it and I work really hard for it, but it didn't define me. That is not who I was. That was a part of my life and maybe a chapter, and maybe it'll be a chapter that'll be continued, but I had something more important that I wanted to pursue, which was being a mom.
And you talked about the judgment that you're getting. I'm using the J word, and I'm guessing that because there was so much pressure on you. You know, you're going to give this up after putting all this investment in and standing up and being authentic to who you are with your values. Talk a little bit about that, because I know that's not easy.
No, it wasn't. And back then, it wasn't easy at all. It took me years. And I think like making that choice was something that gave me the most growth out of everything in my whole life, because it was being true to myself, maybe for the first time in my life. I've done really hard things. Anybody in grad school knows that just having to go through grad school is really hard and challenging. But I realized something. Nobody's going to advocate for you. You have to be your own advocate, especially as an adult. And that was the first time that I stood up for what I wanted, not for the story that I wanted to tell people, my elevator speech, whatever you want to call it, is no, this is what was important for me for real at that moment. And all the noise from the outside, it's fine. Maybe some people say like they are showing they care about you, or maybe it's jealousy, maybe it can be many things, but it doesn't matter because it's not what you want for yourself.
There's almost like there's this voice talking to you and you keep ignoring it because you think, I just have to stay asleep at the wheel of this professional, keep going higher and be ambitious and get all the stars and have everybody see me out on LinkedIn doing incredible professional success. But then when you started asking yourself, what does success mean to me as a human being, as a mom, it was something totally different.
It was. And there's this very wise woman once said, wise woman that's in front of me, in a professional workshop that I went to, where and I told you this, that you played the song In My Daughter's Eyes.
Oh my God. I'm going to cry right now because I literally can't believe that you remember this too.
Well, it has been one of the moments that impacted me the most. I didn't have kids back then, but I always carried that with me because you were so genuine about it, that it wasn't in your boss's eyes, that it was in your daughter's eyes. And that just stayed with me. Another thing from that workshop that stayed with me was that one of my colleagues that was going through the PhD program, she decided to stop and get her master's. Yeah. And I can tell you, all of us were like, oh, why would she do that? Like, judging. We were, because like that's our mentality. That's what we were in. And she's happy. And I commend her for that. Another one went to med school after going through 7 years of grad school. She also took 7 years like me, which is amazing. So like we're all very different. But to me, it's like, you were very clear about what you wanted for your life and what was important for you. And I felt like I had never seen that modeled to me. Yeah. So that changed me in a big way. And I'm sure you impacted so much more lives, but it gave me permission. It opened something in me that I thought was not allowed.
Just kind of gave you a permission slip to see a woman who is a role model to you saying, here's what I want to look back on and remember.
Mm-hmm.
And so the song is called In My Daughter's Eyes by Martina McBride. And at that stage in my life, my two daughters were young, and I was reflecting on my own values about how, when I look back on my own legacy, what did I want to say? And there's so many different ways to look at your life as a woman. You can make whatever decision is right for you. And some women are career focused. And, we talk about how it's like, what do you put first? Is it your professional identity, or is it your identity when you're raising kids, or whatever it might be in your life? I don't know. It could be you have elderly parents, or you want to train for a marathon, but no matter what it is, you have to decide how much time you're going to put into that, and are you aligning your actions with what's important to you. So the fact that you remembered that is absolutely making my heart huge right now, because I've recently become a grandma, and so now I'm watching my daughters navigate exactly what I have navigated, which is how do I balance all this or integrate it into my life so that I don't have regrets.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing that I'm hearing you say is leaving and becoming a full-time mom. So can we get into just like what that is like? How do you have the privilege to do that financially? And what is the realistic piece of that?
Yes.
Giving up a career and the salary along with it.
I will tell you something though, and I think a lot of grad students know this. Salaries are not great for grad students, and I feel like a lot of the time we keep working in this system that I don't think that financially compensates us for fairly for our work. So it was at one point where I was offered another job, which I didn't decline. I just tried to negotiate better vacation, which was a big thing for me, and a better salary. And that was not negotiable for this position. So I decided to step away from it. I have a husband that provides financial stability in our household. So I know that not everybody can step away from their job. I understand that very clearly, that I'm very lucky in that way. To me also, I understand that not everybody wants to be a full-time parent. And that is also what is great about this country, is that you have the choice. Like you can be a full-time parent if you have the means. So like I told you at first, when I started staying at home, like having to define what that would look like, what my days would look like. And yes, it's very joyful, but also there's a part of you, like since I was an academic and I was working and using my brain in all of these like different ways, that was tough at the beginning. But I started using all of my transferable skills that I had from grad school to do very meaningful things. So I was telling you before that now I'm a board member in the PTA of my son's school, which I never thought that I would be like doing that, but I'm fundraising and it's very challenging. And a lot of the things I learned in science, I'm transferring there. And I am also a guardian ad litem in Wake County court system, and I advocate for foster kids. So my days are pretty full, and like I feel like I am doing things that I love. And I think at some point I will go back and try to, again, have my career in science if that's possible, or if that's in the cards. Might not look the same, but.
Thanks for sharing that and being honest and vulnerable about like the privilege that you have, and also the struggle that you went through letting go of that. It's an identity, It's like I'm Dr. Ray and Dr. Ray's, and I've got this prestige associated with it and this status, and you have let go of that particular identity. But I almost see just like multiple versions of you, because this is one, and it's this piece of doing this amazing volunteer work, which is having such an impact on people and feeling satisfied and fulfilled because you're contributing, and then doing this great work on the board. I'm sure they're so happy to have you. Like you said, you have all these skills and you're using them just in another way. So that's another way to feel satisfied, like you're giving something back. and then you're there for your children. So what are some of the highlights of that part of your role? Because we often don't celebrate those, the little things that happen on the day-to-day that you'll look back on and feel so happy you were there for.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my kids. Like you say, I light up every time I talk about them.
Yes.
But the second time when I decided to stop working, I was told by a female colleague that my kids one day are going to grow up and leave, and then what? And I like thought about that a lot. And I'm like, and then what? And I'm like, and then what? They're going to be amazing human beings because I was there for them, guiding them with what I think are a good value system. So I see that in my kids every day when they talk back to me, how other parents refer to when they're speaking about my kids, their teachers, even their peers. And I see how like my daughter's friends will come to me and start telling me stories and maybe even asking for advice. And I'm just so happy that I'm being able to be there and give them the time so that we can have these important conversations and they grow up like being like good human beings that are also going to care for like each other and for the planet and everything. So I think that is really important.
So important. I don't know if you've heard this term before, but it's like when you think about your lifespan, I call it a cycler, meaning that you cycle from what comes first, the priorities based on where you are in your journey. So right now, family is first for you. But that doesn't mean that this next chapter, when maybe your kids need you less, I don't know if it's when they get their driver's license or exactly when that will happen for you, but this point where you feel ready and you say to yourself, now I'm going to put my professional life back in the spotlight. No one ever takes away your PhD and all of your publications and all the things you've done. And you can build on that and decide what this next chapter will look like.
Yeah. And I remember being in grad school and thinking about that as you're a grad student when you feel like it's never going to end. Thinking about your career and how it has to be like a linear path. And like, these are the things I have to do in order to get this job. And like, now I don't see it like that. I feel like everything that I'm doing is adding. I remember thinking about my resumes, like, how am I going to explain this? Right. And now I'm like so excited to tell them. It's like everything that I've done. I've even taken photography. Like I do like all these side projects. And yeah, I'm so excited. And I would think that if I come back to science, I don't think I would do what I was doing before. And now my like eyes are open to like a lot of possibilities and things that I want to do that align better with my purpose, which I feel honestly has always been children, because that's the reason why I wanted to be in science, to cure AIDS.
Interesting.
Yes.
And now you're doing the Bardium ad litem.
Yeah.
And so you're making a difference in those kids. Oh my gosh, the sky is the limit as to what you could do in this next chapter. That's wonderful. So what would you say to the listener who is trying to figure out if they're on the right path and they are trying to say, I don't want to have regrets?
I honestly think that the connection between our mind, our body, and our soul, like we know where we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to do. But a lot of the times we ignore it because the noise outside is so loud. And I knew what I wanted from the beginning. I knew that there were parts of my life that I was really sad because I wasn't being honest and I wasn't listening because I was thinking that this success or this paper or this achievement was more important than being honest to myself. So I think that you should really just listen to yourself and don't be scared because you're going to end up in a great place if you're just honest.
Yeah, and face the fear because no matter which direction you decide to go, that fear is there because you're trying something hard. And I like that how you can just go, you can go forward, step into this unknown, and you can always go back.
Yeah.
So that's a good part of it.
And they'll tell you, I've been told many times, oh yeah, you can't go back. Like it's really hard and this and that. And it's like, Don't let them tell you that.
No, don't listen to haters. I know. I feel like that's so important to reiterate. Well, let's look at this wrapping up. I like to wrap up with a time machine question, and I don't think I told you this question.
No.
I know, it's a surprise. All right, so we're in the year 2026, and you have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we're going to go into the future. Let's make the 9-year-old ready for college. So let's just say like 10 years from now, that 9-year-old will be 19. So it might be a point in time where it's like the year 2036.
Okay.
And Dr. Maria Reyes, and you deserve that title, so I'm going to give it to you, my friend. You worked hard for it. Steps out of a time machine and sits down right next to you. And it is you, a decade later. And she has something to say to you. What do you think you need to hear today from your older and wiser self?
Oh, I like this.
I know, this is a good one.
Honestly, what I would say to myself is thank you for being brave. Because I think it took a lot of courage for me. And I never give this to me. This is a new thing that I'm trying out. But I think I never give myself enough credit for the courage I had to make the choices that I've made. And I hope that in 10 years I will be like, yes, you did it.
And what a wonderful way to wrap us up. Thank you for being brave.
Thank you, Marcy. Thank you. Great to see you too.